participant, Shirley Plant. She's the author of Finally, Food I Can Eat, and also the website of Delicious Alternatives. Shirley, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
We're so excited to have you here with Most Life in our Ahead of the Curve series. So Shirley, you've created a really nice answer for many folks who are besieged with needing to be careful eaters. I'm one of them, having a wheat sensitivity. Actually, I have wheat allergy, so I've been gluten-free for about a year and a half. How did you develop your concept of your recipes and your cookbook, and tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today?
Well, actually, it was purely a selfish reason in the beginning. I was very ill. The doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. I was chronically fatigued and tired. I always had sore throats. I always felt like I was getting sick. Just no energy at all, very lethargic. And, you know, I kept going to the doctor, and they kept taking tests, and the tests came back, quote, normal. And they said, you know, there's nothing wrong with you. So I kept going and pushing, because I'm type A personality, and my whole family is, and you just push through. And it was really interesting. It was actually a neighbor that said to me, have you ever had allergy testing done? And I said, no. You know, this was 20 plus, almost 30 years ago, so we didn't hear these kind of things. So I went and I had allergy testing done, and I came home with this long list of food sensitivities. I had a couple of allergies, but the rest were intolerances or sensitivities. And I thought, there's nothing left to eat. Like, I really thought I was going to starve. Mm-hmm. And so for a while I did. I kind of went into that little poor me mode and trying to figure out what to eat. And of course, you know, as I said, 30 years ago, we had a local health food store, and there were a few items. That's it. There was nothing like today. So really, with my mom and myself, we got into the kitchen because I got tired of eating the same, you know, I think it was rice cakes. I could eat rice cakes. Whoopee, you know, how exciting are rice cakes? They're good, but so, you know, years sort of went by, and, you know, I always had favorite recipes that my mom had made, and I thought there must be a way that I can still have, you know, the recipes that I want. And so I got into the kitchen, and every time I went to the health food store, I always asked them questions. Always, always, always. And I was lucky that I found people that were keen to help me. I was very lucky. And so I got into the kitchen, and I tried different things, and I will admit I threw out thousands of dollars worth of food because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to replace eggs. I didn't know how to, you know, dairy-free, wheat, back then it was wheat-free. And, you know, I was still dealing with very low energy, very lethargic. I just didn't, I had a lot of brain fog, a lot of myalgia. You know, later I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. So it took me a long time. I mean, writing my cookbook, I spent 7 years studying nutrition, researching it, what foods work with others, you know. So that's really how it all came about.
Wow, that's a terrific story. And, you know, there's a quote that I like that is, persistence breaks resistance. And you certainly came across a lot of resistance. I do know now personally that the food environment, the grocery stores, the food industry has really opened up to a lot of the things that I'm sure it was nothing back at the time. So yeah. As you were going through this, I'm sure you had to keep your emotions high, and you had to keep a bit of energy enough to, you know, keep being persistent. So how did you get meaning in your life, and how did you kind of pull these things together so that it could have, let's just say, a greater good event?
You know, that's a really good question. I think there was just always something in the core of me, and I was very lucky, despite, you know, 1 or 2 doctors that really had no idea, couldn't help me, didn't want to help me. I did always come into contact with either people or doctors that really kept me positive. And, you know, whether it's something that we go inside, you know, I'm very lucky. I have a very supportive family. At the time, I had married and then divorced because, you know, it was very difficult for him to understand my illness. But I had, you know, a good friend and, as I said, my family. And sometimes I think you just have to go within and believe, you know, really believe. And there were times, let me tell you, there were times that, you know, I was really sad and really depressed, and that's okay. You know, it's okay. But there was something in me that I just wanted to share what I had learned. I didn't want anyone to have to go through, quote, the despair that I felt when I was so sick and just felt, you know, I couldn't work. So I think that's what kept me going, was that there was a reason for this.
Yeah.
There's a reason this is happening to me, and it may not show me what the reason is for a bit, and it took a while, but then all of a sudden I thought, okay, you know, there is a reason for this. I am meant, even if I help one person figure out something healthy they can eat. Because as we know now, you know, as you said, the grocery stores have totally changed. There was nothing. Now there's so much, you know, billion-dollar industries of gluten-free, but the products aren't necessarily good for us.
Yes. Well, yes, and you've really turned your negative situation inside out and created a real opportunity. Not only have you turned your own life and your own eating and your enjoyment, because I know that going through anything like this, there's a loss and there's natural grieving, and you mentioned that you were sad, and I don't know if you used the word depressed per se, but that is kind of a natural part of anyone who's used to eating certain foods. We grow up in North America, you're from Canada, I'm from the US, but I think our dietary patterns growing up are pretty similar. It's you know, meat and potatoes and fast food and convenience foods and a lot of processed foods. When you have to let go of eating and breaking your habits, you do go through a mourning period.
Yes.
And I'm sure you felt like you were eating minimal stuff. You mentioned that you became almost rice cakes, and then you turned that around, you learned, and you boosted yourself up with empowering your brain and your knowledge. And in the most life system, that's the I in life. It's the intellect. Intellect has to be boosted as well for us to overcome and have a great life. And the thing that I'm so impressed with when I first heard about you, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit here, is that you've really turned this into a really high quality experience for people who have your cookbook and who are working with you in deliciousalternatives.com. And the L in life, and you've really kind of epitomized life and re-energizing life. The L is for kind of enjoying your life and enjoying living and having joy back. And so tell us a little bit about how you empower your folks you work with, either with nutritional counseling or who have your cookbook, for getting them so that they are living a high quality life and really, really living it. As we say in most life, are you living it? Meaning, you got to have that joy in your life to feel empowered and to feel that it's worth it.
You're right, and that's, you know, that's the reason I created my cookbook, and then from that started doing dietary consulting with my company Delicious Alternatives, because it is about delicious alternatives, whether it's food, whether it's, as you say, life. What are your delicious alternatives? What keeps you going? What enables you to live, as you say, Maureen, this high quality life? And you know, that doesn't mean that you have to be out doing things all the time and buying things. And you know, I still live a very sedentary life. There are days that, you know, I'm not feeling very well or my energy is low, and so I'm quiet. And how do I live with that? I appreciate meditation. I appreciate good movies. I appreciate spending time with my dog, even if it's cuddling on the couch. Mm-hmm. I appreciate if it's food, a healthy, what I call a healthy treat. Uh-huh. And that's what I want when I do my dietary consulting. You know, how can I help that individual? Because because we're all different, right? We all have different, as you say, you're from the US, I'm from Canada, maybe I'm talking to someone that's in Europe. We all have different bodies, we all like different things, so how can I help that individual a person? And, you know, if they're only able to eat a handful of foods, how can we make it fun? How can we enjoy what we're eating? Nobody, I mean, I got to a point where, you know, I was just eating to live. I didn't enjoy what I was eating, and, you know, that's not good for us health-wise.
Right.
So how can I help your followers to live that life, whether it's through food or, as you say, through your ways?
Right. And I would say most people, and I myself personally, like I mentioned earlier, I have a wheat allergy. I've been gluten-free for about 1.5 years, and let's just say that sometimes I try to be gluten-free because I do have my lapses or whatever. I've also tried to really enhance how clean I eat, and that's the other thing I like about your cookbook. If, let's just say, you don't have 16 allergies or health conditions, your food is still nutritious, it's beautiful, it's healthy, it's tasty, and that really, to me, is where we should all be moving toward. I think everyone has the opportunity to make their intake, their food intake, their fuel intake, their energy intake cleaner and healthier, and you've certainly given us lots of opportunities in a very creative manner. And I've personally made some of your recipes. We profiled one of them recently, and we'll certainly put more on the Most Life website. But I'm eager to keep trying more. You put a really creative, you put a lot of energy and creativity in giving folks with limited nutritional options a lot of creativity.
And so, I wanted to do that. I wanted the cookbook to be for people like me that had limitations, but I also wanted it, as you said, for people that just are looking for healthier options. And so many times in my dietary consulting, I get a family, and 1 or 2 have sensitivities, and the others don't. And they say, we want normal food. Yeah. And so, you know, that's why people say my cookbook is easy to read. You know, I've still got comfort foods like shepherd's pie and soup recipes. I've got vegetarian and non-vegetarian recipes. So I really tried to appeal to the masses, you know, if that's possible.
Right. Well, it's certainly a good one to have handy in the kitchen. Tell us a little bit about what you have planned for the next several months. We're eager to kick off a lot of your recipes through mymostlife.com. We're also eager to award some of our weekly prize winners with your cookbook and pass out a little bit of healthy eating to some of our followers. What do you have in store for the next couple of months coming up, Shirley?
Oh, that's great. Thank you for that. Well, as always, I offer my consulting to help people. I also have put together a 21-day gluten, dairy, sugar-free online challenge, and that's coming up in November. And it's amazing. I ran it last year, and we had such fun, and it was amazing. People learned so much. You know, I teach people to start to read labels. They eliminate these foods. Some people know they have issues with these 3 foods, and other people don't, but they kind of in the back of their mind maybe suspect. And because it's an online community, we've got a closed Facebook group, there's lots of support, you know, and people join for different reasons. They have sensitivities, they want to lose weight, they may have found out they're pre-diabetic or diabetic. They may have inflammation in their body, and removing these 3 foods makes a huge difference. And that was really what people on the challenge noticed, how different they felt. Their brain fog went away. They did lose some weight. And I teach people how to, you know, get back to healthy eating. And some of us, you know, a little bit younger generation, they've been brought up on prepackaged foods, as you said. They really don't know how to get back into the kitchen. So we have lots of fun. And so that's really what I'm preparing now. Lots of really good recipes and menu plans for the 21-day gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free challenge. And it's online, so anyone in the world can join.
Well, that's awesome. We're going to certainly work with you and encourage some of our folks. We may actually take one of our Most Life members and give them put them to the challenge and have them report into the Most Life audience as well, so we can really see what's going on there. I'm a huge advocate of what you're doing, Shirley, and I personally have really appreciated what you're offering. You and I have spoken about some individuals that could also gain by learning more about what you have going on. So I'll keep trying to motivate and inspire those folks to come your way. Is there anything else you'd like to wrap up as we close out our interview and work with you and work with each other?
Well, I just really want to thank you for doing this and for what you do. I love what you're doing, you know, the Most Life. It's just awesome. And for anybody that is looking for help or knows somebody that needs help around healthy eating, sensitivities, food allergies, come on over to my website, deliciousalternatives.com. I've got lots of recipes there. You can sign up for my newsletter and get my freebies every month. And you can visit my Facebook page, which is Finally Food I Can Eat. And there as well, I'm always posting healthy tips and recipes. So there's lots there for people if they need it, and I'm happy to help.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate your energy and your enthusiasm and your persistence that got you to where you are. You're a force for good in the complex world of nutrition and eating. We all need good energy every single day. So we'll be doing more with you. DeliciousAlternatives.com and Finally Food I Can Eat Facebook, and Shirley Plant. We will be in touch. Thank you for this time.
Thanks, Maureen.